The Rich Rabbit.
How Kim Jong-un spends their billions. Dennis Rodman, 1984-like authoritarian states, bad haircuts, and nuclear weapons. There is only one place that has all of these in common: North Korea. For generations now, North Korea has been something of a rogue state, a nation led by an authoritarian dictator with power handed down from father to son. We are now in the third generation of such an arrangement, and the man in charge, Kim Jong-un, is looking like even more of a wild card than his father or grandfather ever were. It is because of the nukes that North Korea is so scary. Now, with clear and evident progress on its nuclear program, North Korea is threatening to attack neighboring countries, South Korea and Japan, and even lob missiles toward the United States. It is a frightening situation, and one that does not have an easy solution. What do you do when you have an unhinged young man with a heavy arsenal and billions of dollars at his disposal? Today we will tell you about how Kim Jong-un spends his billions. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell notifications where we post videos daily. For America's billionaires, being rich typically leads to a life of luxury and relaxation. They buy yachts and private islands and spend their time golfing. Funny enough, this is what Kim Jong-un does as well, and we'll get to that. But he also needs to use his money to ensure that he stays in power. That means buying military hardware and paying assassins to track down family members. It sounds like Game of Thrones, but it is very real. Moreover, Kim Jong-un is essentially a real-life Joffrey. How much money does our version of Joffrey have, and what does he spend it on? Let's take a closer look at the world's most famous dictator. It is hard to say just how much Kim Jong-un has at his disposal. However, most estimates put the figure at right around $5 billion. Considering how little his fellow countrymen earn in a given year, which we'll get to in a minute, North Korea's supreme leader might as well live on another planet with that type of money. In fact, he does in a way. He lives a life of luxury that rivals that of any other wealthy person in the United States or Asia, while almost every other North Korean fights for scraps. Before he became supreme leader, Kim Jong-un watched as his father Kim Jong-il and grandfather Kim Il-sung raised the family's fortune. Though their assets are stashed in different places and forms around the world, by leading the country, the family has become extraordinarily wealthy. The real question, of course, is this: how did they do it? The quick and easy answer is through a number of illicit channels and trading with one other country, China. However, we'll get into the more illicit stuff. Because North Korea has been blacklisted and sanctioned nearly into oblivion, it has few trading partners. However, that doesn't mean it's completely cut off. North Korea earns the bulk of its money through the sale of coal to neighboring China. Aside from that, however, the country deals in more illicit channels. Some of the ways in which North Korea pads its coffers are through weapons sales, drug manufacturing and sales, cyber attacks, and even slavery or forced labor. While most of the country continues to resemble an agrarian 19th century serfdom, Kim Jong-un lives a life of luxury. He spends money on private jets, private islands, golf courses, and a slew of houses, and he imports the finest liquors and cheeses. There are also yachts and cars, and the regime's spending on luxury resorts. However, a lot of that money also goes toward building the nation's military and nuclear arsenal, which the supreme leader views as an insurance policy against a coup and a way to cement his power. Kim has a penchant for luxury brands and luxury items, and his fleet of cars reflect that. In spite of strict sanctions by the US and the United Nations, Kim Jong-un has managed to get his hands on a number of ultra-luxury vehicles. They include the Maybach S62 and the Maybach S600, which are official state-provided cars for Kim. Other than these two, he has a fleet of MERC G-Wagons, a number of Rolls-Royce, and some customized and decked-out Land Rovers. Ultra-luxurious cars that one can be chauffeured around in. We all know that Kim has at times gone bonkers mad and has killed his generals in the most bizarre and shocking of ways. However, he is also known to bestow some really expensive gifts on those he looks favorably upon. This includes rare alcohol, luxury watches, and expensive fashionable pieces like fur coats, jewelry, etc. Apparently, over the last 7 years, Kim Jong-un has spent over $4 billion on his generals. The Republic of North Korea already has over 90,000 people working on his security detail, with most of them being women. In spite of this, Kim Jong-un has flown in martial arts experts from China and Russia who train a selection of men that Kim handpicks himself, apparently. The people who are often seen running beside his cars are his personal bodyguards. Kim Jong-un has a number of yachts, but the most conspicuous one is one that made in the United Kingdom at a company called Princess. The 95 MY is not the latest and greatest when it comes to yachts, but it certainly is one of the most luxurious ones. Apparently, it has a crew of 24 people attending to just 16 people. On the second-hand market, it goes for anything between $7 million to $8 million. I know you must be thinking that is not possible to drink that much alcohol in a year and still survive. However, when you pop 2 to 3 bottles of the world's finest champagnes almost every day, the numbers do stack up. Kim also has a taste for cognac and often gets bottles of the finest aged cognacs by the hundreds. The man has his own private party island. Kim Jong-un once hosted American basketball player Dennis Rodman in North Korea. Upon his return to America, Rodman gave a number of interviews saying that the two of them would often party hard through the night on Kim's personal island, which had everything that a man would fancy in a football pitch, a basketball court, party boats, swimming pools, and even a small water park. China is one of the few countries which hasn't put any sanctions on the Hermit Kingdom. Often when Kim needs to visit China, he will take his personal train, which has its own set of tracks within North Korea and in some parts of China. Although not much is known about the train itself, several reports claim that the train, even though it looks like something from the 1950s, is a mobile command unit complete with the latest communication systems, expensive French wines, and is often loaded with stuff like caviar and lobsters. Clearly, the man has an expensive taste. However, it is indeed pitiful that his people are still starving to death. Where does that $5 billion fortune put Kim Jong-un among wealthy world leaders? Pretty high up the list, actually. In fact, it is estimated that the supreme leader is actually worth more than President Donald Trump. However, because that wealth is tied up in different holdings and is spread across the world, nobody knows for sure. We do know North Korea's leader is near the top when it comes to rich politicians, but trails Russia's Vladimir Putin by a wide gap. Unofficially, Putin is worth $200 billion or so. The one thing about having all that money in a nation that's incredibly poor, people will come for it sooner or later. We know his reign will come to an end at some point, but how it happens is the question that should be giving everyone an anxiety attack. That's all for today, folks. Do not forget to comment below on what you liked, and always, we will see you in the next video.
The Rich Rabbit,